Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Dance. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is What's My Legal Rights? Hurry back and join me. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Dance. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is What's My Legal Rights? But we have an exception to What's My Legal Rights today. We have none other than the legal analyst himself from Fox 2 and WWJ, Charlie Langton. Good afternoon, Charlie.
Good to be here. It is so nice to be here back in this studio where well, you probably know,
the beginning.
But I started right here.
That's right.
This is it.
That's right.
Before Fox 2, before WWJ, before anything, I was right here. And you know what? It hasn't changed too much, you know, really.
No, but
it's great.
We're still at it. So,
well, you've been at it for 26 years, right?
Yeah.
26 years?
26.
You know, I can't think of anybody on who has been an anchor or a reporter on Fox 2 for 26. I can't think of any.
Me neither.
Not many.
Okay.
Not many. So you have you are a pillar of the Metro Detroit.
Well, so
community.
are you, Charlie. So are you. I mean, you know, and I have to ask you, let's start off a little bit about yourself and how did you really get involved? We know that you come from a long line of attorney family members, but start off with yourself and how did you get all the way over into Fox?
Well, I mean, the short answer is I practice law. I'm a lawyer, and I went to law school. I've always liked television. Radio was an afterthought. I didn't know about radio, but television. And I was a theater major in college at Kalamazoo College, and then I went into the Detroit College of Law, which is now Michigan State. But I always wanted to get something. I wanted to do something in television, and really the truth is, CMN, also the Macomb County Bar Association, they had a show called Legally Speaking, very similar to this.
Yes.
Really similar. And in those days, we would go up to the Romeo school building, and in those days, we'd turn the camera on, count a half hour, turn it off, that's our show. There was no editing, there was no nothing. Hopefully the sound was good, audio, lighting, whatever. But it was interesting because it was a talk show.
Yeah.
And you have to engage and do all this stuff, so I kind of liked that. And then we moved over to Sterling Heights, government television, and they were very sophisticated. They were good. And funny, some of the photographers that were at Sterling Heights, in fact, today, Matt Phillips, he was my photographer now at Fox 2. We've been working together ever since. So, but then we decided, we can take those cameras out of the studio. And I thought, why can't we interview some people that may be, and again, it's all legally related or political or civil rights. I mean, and I think I've just told you my famous, I guess, Rosa Parks.
Oh, yeah.
So one-on-one, just like this with Rosa Parks. But, from Rosa Parks to Ted Nugent to Johnny Cochran to the governor, whatever.
But you know what, Charlie, I mean, all the years that you've been doing this, did you find yourself nervous or did you find yourself growing with the atmosphere of being in television? You
grow and you just want to do better and more.
Yes.
And I knew I needed to, if I wanted to maybe make a career, I don't know what I wanted. I was practicing law and I was having a good time doing it. I like doing it. I like going to court.
Right.
But I went to Specs Howard then too. And I learned about editing, learned about writing, and then learn about lighting and set design. You have to learn all that stuff.
All came together.
And then it all came together. And then you start developing it, and really the first break I got in any kind of commercial was a station called WYUR, radio. And it was a station, it was on Telegraph and Long Lake, and was a station where if you go across the street, you really can't hear the signal. But it didn't matter. It did not matter because it got me into a more commercial, you learn about rundowns and timing and there's other things you learn.
So you're a master in the craft the whole time.
Well, you learn, it's a foot in the door theory.
Okay.
So you get your foot in the door. You take the worst time slot, the worst whatever, but you watch. And I got a chance to meet people that had been in the business for a long time. And I watched what they did. And then from there, I went over to WXYT, which was a CBS station. From there, I met people on WWJ. I mean, Roberta Jacina, I met him. I mean, these are people that are just,
you're on
great.
WWJ.
And I still, now I'm on WWJ every morning.
Met them, now you're on them. Okay.
Yeah, but you learn from them though. And I learned.
But Charlie, how do you balance the time? I mean, you're on the radio in the morning, and then somehow you flip over, you're on the TV station in the afternoon or mid morning. How do you juggle all that? And you got a family.
And I got a family. I know. I still practice law a little bit too, but we don't do that. I do 5 hours of radio in the morning. You know what? You love it. You'd learn how to do it. Some days I'll admit I am a little bit tired. But you get up, it's not that glamorous. You get up at 3:30 in the morning, and then I'll get an assignment to go, there may be a fire somewhere or a shooting or 3:30 a.m. 7 days a week. But I'll do 5 hours of radio. I'll do it till about 10, and then I go from WWJ to Fox 2.
Wow.
And then I anchor on Saturday, Sunday on Fox 2 in the morning. So we do have to prepare a little bit for the show, as you know.
And I thought I was doing something, but you're doing it all.
Well, you know what? But it's fun though, and I love it. I mean, I've covered. Over the years, I've covered some of the best stories of the year. I mean, name the story. I probably have been there. Some good, some not good. But the shootings or the fires. What are they waiting? The Crumbly trial is now a big trial going on right now. Some of the law changes have been very good. The elections.
So let me ask you this: when you do let it rip, and you guys come together, do everybody already know that this is what we're going to talk about today, or is it spontaneous?
It's spontaneous. We only know the topic. That's it. And the topic can be, how the election, who's going to win, Trump or Biden, or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it'll be a little bit more narrow than that, but that's it. The idea of let it rip is you cast the show. So you get one Democrat, one Republican, one conservative, and one liberal, or different, depending on the topic. But you want to have people that have contrasting opinions. And assuming you can get that, and then, Roop Raj is the host now. Huel Perkins, of course, did it for many, many years. And Huel got me into that. We did some of the early shows with Kwame Kilpatrick. And I love Kwame Kilpatrick. I probably have to thank him because it kind of got me into the, into it. That was my first big case that I covered. But I covered, and there were so many, I would say having a legal background doesn't hurt
newsworthy topics, very newsworthy topics, and strengthen Let It Rip.
And the Let It Rip topics were good, meaty topics, things that are going on right now. And so, people want that. On the Crumbly case, should parents be charged criminally when their kid does a bad, shoots up school?
Well, we're going to get into that.
But there's all kinds of things like that.
So I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into more, Charlie Langston. So we're going to talk more with Charlie Langston. We'll be right back.
More than 100 children and teens in Miami-Dade County have been senselessly killed by gunfire. Log on to crimestopperskids.org, a fund specifically designed to help track down those who commit crimes against children. Help make our community a stronger, safer place for kids.
And welcome back to the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now joining us, we have with us legal analyst Charlie Langston from Fox 2 and WWJ. So normally this show is called What's My Legal Rights, but today I took a little turn because I want to talk to my dear friend Charlie Langston about what's going on, and we're going to get right into Charlie. The city of Detroit or Michigan, period, is overwhelmed with the Crumbly case.
Yeah.
What's going on? Because it seemed like this particular case right here will make a decision going forward for parents to be responsible or held accountable for their children's actions. What is your take on that?
I think you got it. I think you hit it right on the head as far as that's the issue, is how far do we charge or do we have parents responsible for the criminal acts of their kids? And I think that's really the message in the case. I think in the old days when a child did something, or even a terrible shooting like the tragic shooting at Oxford High School, we yell gun control, gun control. Now I think we're saying parent control, parent control.
Right.
And it is a good discussion. And now that we have a conviction, Jennifer Crumbly, the mother, was convicted, 4 counts of manslaughter, and we'll start up very soon with the father, James Crumbly. And there are a couple little legal twists and issues, and there'll be a couple differences, subtle differences. But, you know, it's a good issue of, you know, should parents be charged criminally? And then what charge? And then what responsibility do they have? So it's a fascinating case from a legal point of view. But I do think now that there's a conviction, I think we're going to have, you know, police involvement. I think we're going to have, you know, if your kid does something wrong, you know, you're going to be asked, do you have a gun in the home? Is there any history of mental illness? I mean, that's some of the stuff you talk about on your show. Is what is really important. What are the signs? Parents don't know about these signs, or they should know, but that's the issue. What do they know? In the Crumbly case, you know, the shooter, we don't use his name for a lot of reasons, but but anyway, the shooter might have been reaching out for help.
A long time ago.
When he drew the picture, help me. Well, that's like a cry. Who didn't see that? Did the parents? Should they have seen it? You know, you have to be aware of what your kid does. And then if you have a gun in the house, new law is you have to keep, if you have a minor in the house, you have to lock those guns up. Arguably, the gun wasn't locked up enough. The kid found it. The shooter found it. And, of course, we know what happened.
But you know what? Do you know? I think parents now are starting to become more aware that this may become a law. This particular situation here, after the parents, you know, the decision has been handed down to the parents. Now there's going to be somebody, probably from the Oxford, you know, families, say, hey, we need to put in law the Oxford law. And what is the Oxford law? You as a parent will be held accountable for your children's actions. And then it's going to affect a little bit of everybody. So even with the gun control, it's got to affect the gun control, because how in the world do you see that young people can get a hold of weapons online? You can go to Amazon and order a weapon, or order the bullets and stuff, or you can Google and see what type of weaponry you can utilize to take out, you know, a whole complete building or, you know, person. It's too much open-endedness for young people to get attracted to the negative, and then somehow it's available to them and the parents don't know. I mean, what parent don't go in their kid's room? I mean, I don't understand it. You don't never go?
Well, they're going to have to now.
Right.
If you've got a kid under 18 living in your house, you have a duty to go in there, look at the journal, look at Facebook, look at social media for sure. Who are their friends? What are their friends doing? You know, how often do they get around? What are their influences? You know, we've had some laws. The legislature acted pretty quickly to the Oxford case. Some of the big ones would be you have to lock, safe little locks. You have to have a lock on your gun. If you have a minor in the house, that's the law. You use a trigger lock, or there's other types of locks you can use. That's the one law. The other one is, you know, there's some enhanced background checks. That's 2. And 3 would be the red flag laws. If there's a history of mental illness that's not totally related to Oxford, but it's close enough. All of these gun laws happen after Oxford. But the red flag laws, if you suspect a relative and there's a rationale, you call the police, there's a procedure, and you say, I want to report this person who may have mental illness and has a gun. Go ahead, police, check it out. Again, you have to go through the process.
You know how that sounds? That sounds like the neighbor who's observing some situations at that neighbor's house and saying, maybe I should make the police aware. Maybe I should call the Department of Social Services and say you need to do a drive-by. No parent, and I'm serious, no parent is going to expose their children or themselves of a mental illness. It's just not in them. And every now and then you get a parent say, well, he's not taking his medicine and we can't make him because he's over 18 or he's 18. So then we got medical people as well as law enforcement, as well as psychiatrists, psychologists, and the legal system trying to figure out how to put a safety net on a person, you know, that has access to weaponry.
Well, it was originally designed for suicide, and so again, and it's got a neighbor probably is not going to do it, but if it's your cousin, your spouse, your sister, and you suspect your sister is having an episode, having a breakdown, and they have a gun, to prevent the suicide, you can call and go through the process. Red flag. It's a red flag. And then the sister will have to, or your relative, or whatever, a dating relationship too, they will have to give up those firearms. That's very controversial.
Right.
But
that's the issue.
It's the law.
It's controversial, but that's the problem. And then we got the new phone number, the 988.
Yes,
if you
that's
suspect
right.
something, you can call 988 and have a team come out and investigate. How do you feel that number is actually working though? Have you had any
I haven't
feedback?
had it. They just had the the red flag. So, a police officer can do it too, and then police have to get a judge to sign off. So we're just getting into the beginning phases of how these red flag laws will work, and it is controversial. I mean,
it is.
I have not been convicted of any crime whatsoever, and yet you're going to take my guns away. Second Amendment right. I have a right to have a gun. So there is that, and then. What do you physically? What do the police do with those guns? And then to think about it, the cops have to go in there to a house where that the person may have been or may be suffering right now from mental illness, and they've got to go in there and find the gun. I'm not going to tell you where the gun. So what do they do? So how far does that? It's like a search warrant. Can you look over everything? I don't know. And so these are how. We're going to get cases, and this is how laws develop and interpretations.
Cases are getting bigger.
So the concept sounds good. Let's see how it works in practice. Could there be abuse? PPOs. Remember PPOs way back when? Personal protection orders. So if your neighbor, was, it was being threatening you or whatever, you could. But some neighbors abuse it. Oh, you blew leaves on my lawn. I'm going to slap a PPO on you. Believe me, it happens.
Right.
So is there abuse? And I'm not saying there's abuse. I want to see how it develops. I think the concept is very good. And for a show like you do, that focuses on life, the good and the bad, we want to prevent suicide. We want to prevent, help people with a mental illness. I think we now realize that it is a medical condition, not a legal condition. People shouldn't be in jail. They should get them in the hospital or help or whatever it is.
Right.
And I think now the courts are slowly catching up with perhaps what reality is. Narcan wasn't a big deal 10 years or so ago for people that now it is. You can get it free out of a vending machine. So, but listen, we're not encouraging drug use. We're being reality about it. Being real about it.
Anytime you legalize marijuana, you might as well put Narcan in every gas station or every drugstore that has it, so that at least that person feel like, okay, well, if I overdo it, I at least can have somebody save myself.
But there's always abuse. There's always but these are the stories we cover. Marijuana. Marijuana. There's an entire to get permits, and then there's dispensaries, and there's growers, and there's different licenses. There's a whole bunch of things that without going into the minutia of marijuana. There's a money issue. Some you can get money. There's cities can get money. There's a way to do that. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Everything gets legalized sooner or later, but when?
Yeah.
All right, Charlie, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with some more Charlie Langston. We'll be right back.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
And I won't have to tell my kids, this isn't a drill.
Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always lock it up.
And welcome back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just not joining us, I'm here sitting with legal analyst Charlie Langston, Fox 2 and WWJ News. And I just want you to know, you can always give us a call, even if you have a question for Charlie. Okay, so 1-800-323-5336, 1-800-323-5336, or get our email at the bottom of the screen, and you can email me a question as well, and we'll get it over to Charlie Langston if you have one. So, Charlie, this conversation between us is so raw because it's what's going on today, currently, what's going on. And my heart goes out to the Crumbly family, regardless to the outcome. They were parents, and that was a child. And I was just wondering, is it extended family members, where's the grandparents? They're going to court all by themselves. They're going through this whole change of life all by themselves. Everything that they ever had is gone, okay? And the young victim himself, he doesn't even have an opportunity to know what growing up will be like outside of those walls, and that's just a total breakdown. But we also have recently a situation where somebody called in a gun threat or a bomb threat, and the police came, the mother said yes, come in, father said no. We're going to have more and more standoffs and division between parents and children issues And I believe Michigan is going to be the catalyst to make the decisions on what these next generational laws will be about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we're going to see how certain laws develop, and the concepts are always good. We want to protect people from hurting themselves. We want to protect schools. We have a duty to do that. That's right. But how far do you go? If a kid draws a picture of a gun in school, can the school then have the police go to the home and search the home for whatever? Because this kid might be a danger. And the short answer is probably no. It's not a crime to draw a picture. Now, you can get the kid kicked out of school. It could trigger that the kid may need some counseling. It could trigger that we may want to ask if the parents have guns in the house. How about, have you noticed any other behavior? So there's a lot of cooperation. Again, when you have the state, the law telling you have to do something, there are certain rules about privacy and free speech, and so we have to balance those with the safety of the public.
We do, but
that's
some of the outcome too. Some of the responsibility, I feel, falls on the dealers of the guns. I mean, you go to a gun store and here it is, this person is 18, getting ready to purchase a gun, or 21, getting ready to purchase a gun. And to me, if you buy over 3 arsenals, you should be registered that your information goes automatically to the police department or something. Somehow the police department needs to know how many.
I think it's 1. I don't remember. And gun people, they know the law.
Yes, they do.
They know it very well. They teach you. You have to go through a training course, and a lot of laws related to guns. But I believe any gun, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, any pistol, you do have to register it, and you're supposed to turn it over to the police. You have time to do it, but you have to do it. 1 gun, not 2 or 3. But there's no limit. You can have 100, I think. You can have 100 guns. Now, why do you need them? That's a different issue. So as long as you follow the law. Now, do we want to should the legislature come in and say, you only own 5 guns? I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, no, it's not, but I think it should. I mean, I don't understand the fascination about guns. You got a Glock, you got a 38, you got a 22. Okay. Well, you got all these guns and everything, and then your child decides that one of these guns is going to go to school. Now, who in their right mind have these automatics? I don't know, in a regular, home environment, but you got it. And then you take your kid to the gun range, or your kid watches you and everything, and they're like, well, Dad can do it, I can do it, Mom do it, I can do it. I'm not saying don't protect your home, but I'm saying protect your children. I'd rather you teach your children CPR. I'd rather you teach your children how to dial 911, look out for somebody who passes out. What would you do if a baby fell in a pool? Teach your children those things before you teach your children how to use a gun.
Perfect.
Okay. I should have said that at the end.
That sounds really good. I
but
like
it's true.
That. It's a commentary.
It's true. I mean,
and you know what? As parents, if that's the way you want to bring up your kid, that's fine. Some people would say that we want to develop a bond. We like hunting. In Oxford schools, testimony came out that they actually start school later during hunting season. Why? Because there's so many people in that environment that like to go hunting. Now they're all minors, so yes, dads or moms are going out with the kids to hunt. Also, they said, when you take your yearbook picture, make sure you don't have your gun in the picture. Because why? It's a gun community. Listen, we can debate the merits of gun control or red flag laws or trigger locks or whatever it may be. I think that there is a place for guns. I like your idea but again, what you're saying is really parent control.
Right.
We are putting parents, making them responsible for, if you have a gun, if the gun is in your home, you have certain laws. I don't think anything wrong with that. I can't believe any NRA people should even support that. I think they would. When you start restricting the numbers, Marsha, you're going to call up from the NRA.
Okay.
So it's where do we, and again, there's going to be a conceptual, some people, no one can disagree on that. They're going to have they love you or they hate you on that issue.
Right.
But on the issues that we can agree on, like safety locks and even perhaps the red flag laws. Again, I want to see how that one develops. Much more controversial. Background checks, real background checks. I think those are probably, And again, there's there's elements of disagreement here, but those are ones that I think we can all agree with.
But you know, when we talk about safety locks, we mainly talk about safety locks when a young child, an infant child, finds a parent's gun and, you know, accidentally shoots themselves. We're talking about 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-years-olds. Okay, but now we're talking about teenagers who actually go and get the weapon and, you know, do bodily harm to others, not themselves, but to others. If we're going to have new laws created, the parent whose child accidentally killed themselves, they're already hurt. They're hurt more than you think. And now we're going to put them in jail because you should have been more careful with that weapon, and now your baby's gone.
Yes.
But we got a separate law or division between a child who's of age and actually went and got a weapon and did bodily harm to others. That's two different types of situations, Charlie, with the same thing. The same gun, the same gun laws, the same red flags. What are we going to do? Because, look, let me tell you something. Once it gets to be summer, they say it's a hot girl summer, it's going to Wild Wild West.
Well, the idea is you're not supposed to shoot your gun. You know, the only defense is self-defense. You can't. You got to do an argument. We're going to do an argument. I can't whip out my gun and shoot you.
Right.
I can't do that. If someone's stealing my car in the driveway, I can't get out my gun and shoot them. I can't do that. So we were just talking about this today, as a matter of fact, is how far can you use your gun? And are we going to have all these defensive self-defense? Maybe we will, but I don't think so. You're not supposed to shoot your gun. You're not supposed, it's only self-defense. And then we get the thing, if a burglar is coming into your house, yes, but if someone is in your backyard, you can't shoot.
Right.
Those are the laws. So, but responsible gun people, and they are out there.
There's a few of them, okay.
No, there's a lot. Okay. They really do. They don't want reckless gun people.
Right.
The people that they're having right here on the table, real gun people don't want that. They're making them look bad. Because the ultimate is just ban guns. Many countries do it. And that's not, I don't think that's what this country wants.
Right.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Especially in Michigan, right?
Especially in Michigan. It's never going to happen. But you do want to have laws that are, real laws that are not too restrictive, but are there for the protection of everybody, really. And they know that.
Well, you know what? It's apples in one hand, oranges in another. They are going to go in the basket, and something's going to have to come out. You know? So hopefully, by the time this show airs, you'll come back and tell us some more dynamic news of what's going on. Okay. I hope we got some resolution, going on with and like I said, my heart goes out to the Crumbly family, the entire family, the families of the Oxford children.
I got a chance. I hate to admit it. I got a chance to meet not all, but most of the victims, the families. They're super nice people. I'm sure. Down-to-earth people who have suffered unbelievable tragedy, but they're really nice people. And it's very sad for them to have to go to court and to hear this kind of testimony a lot. It's just, I don't know how they do it. And they probably will again. They'll play the actual shooting of Oxford, which I don't know why, but it's just, you see that and you say, oh my gosh, how can someone do that?
Justice has to be served. And that's where we're at.
Crazy stuff.
Well, Charlie, will you come back and see me again?
I will.
Okay. So I mean, I'm not let it rip, but I'm close to it. How about that?
You may be better than let it rip. I know. She's tough.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed myself today with my dear friend Charlie Langston. And you know what? Like I said, you can always give us a call, 1-800-323-5336. Or email me, Marcia at Just Ask Talk Show. And if you got a question for Charlie, let me know. I'm your host, Marcia Florence with Just Ask. And what do I always say if you have a question about a person with a disability or just a general question? Don't be afraid to ask, just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.